Hello and welcome to 2168. 2168 is by far my favorite class to teach, and I am thrilled to have you all here. So what is 2168? 2168 is data structures, and it is where we finally get to really break down how data is organized in a computer. Not in the ones and zeros, but in the more abstract way. That's kind of distracting, but it is. But the page is under active construction at the moment, as you can see. So, yeah, still need to put the TA information, still need to put my information down. But what I do not need to put down is the content. You see, 2168 is a bit of a unique course for me because it is the first course I ever flipped. What does that mean? A flipped course means that basically that rather than having you take the traditional lecture material, rather, you sitting in for an hour and 20 where I drone on and bore you to death, right? Rather than doing that, I have pre-recorded all the lectures for you for this class, and you watch them outside of the lecture time. And in return, you come to lecture time ready to work on the various labs and projects that I have for you this semester. The labs and projects, some are okay, I won't lie, some are boring, but a good number of them are actually quite fun and quite challenging. Our first one is a great example of that. It will help us review object-oriented programming. I'm sure plenty of you need plenty of review after your break, so that will be a nice exercise. So your lecture sessions will be very similar to your traditional lab, so to speak, where basically you work on some homework. Your labs will have some additional exercises, and there will be some quizzes during your lecture. But for the most part, this class is going to be you learn outside the lecture period, and then you do your homework in the lecture period. Now, why this? Because I found that this ends up the students spend less time overall on this class, but get the same amount out of it, right? You like less work, I hope, right? I mean, one of the key things about being a programmer is to work smarter, not harder, right? So the idea here is that we take the time where you do all that active learning and move it closer to the time where you'd be where the professor's more accessible, and take all the stuff where you're making your first contact with that information over to when I'm least accessible, right? So that's what it means to be flipped. Now, these videos, right, you'll be able to see them in each of the modules with the click. I still have to set up or write down when I expect you to watch all of them, but they are in a YouTube playlist. And you'll notice that at the beginning, we actually have this nice, really polished video at the beginning of each of them. Now, this is where I say this was a really fun and unique class for me and very interesting, because I started flipping these lectures on my own without any consultation with the rest of my department, and then I got asked to do a graduate course called 5016, which is accelerated data structures. And that is the graduate course where basically it's for people who are pivoting in their degrees, and they're taking essentially a combined 1068, 2168. So we created a bunch of these nice polished videos for you, and some of the videos over here eventually have to be reshot. Ooh, look at that hair. Okay, but as you'll see as we get into the second week, where the bunch of the new content is, this is where basically I went back and started reshooting the videos for all the content. So it's broken up into these nice, easy to watch segments. See, this one's 16 minutes long, which is basically a good chunk. It's a good chunk to watch, but not too bad. 9 minutes and 28 seconds. So there should be no more than 2 hours any given week to watch. And the playlists are all in there. You don't need to like or subscribe to my channel. Don't need to donate to my Patreon or any of that. Don't even have a Patreon. So the reason they're on YouTube is that I know YouTube works on basically any platform, and it will be pretty much up all the time. And so I get to take all the technical difficulties out of it. So it is going to be, but all this material is there for you to watch. I will have basically guides as to when you should watch it. But if you want to skip ahead, feel free to skip ahead. So labs, we will have labs the first week. I will make an effort to attend all your labs. Although there's 2 sections and they have labs at the same time, so I will have to jump between them because I haven't figured out how to clone myself yet. More's the pity. So we'll have a number of assignments. The biggest change that I'm going to have to this class in response to COVID-19, though, is that I will probably make more frequent, to call them exams, gives them more weight and magnitude and, I guess, more of a larger ominousness than I think they'll deserve if I make a lot of them, right? So I'll see maybe 5 or 6 mini exams. We'll see. It just depends on how discrete I can chop up the material. But more frequent examinations, and by examinations I mean timed examinations that you have to complete, rather than these less frequent high stake ones, right? So that's, I think, the only change that I'll be making to this course. But I've taught this course plenty. It's my favorite because we get into a lot of good puzzles. We get into good CS theory, but we don't have to dig too deep into the math unless you really want to, right? That's what I like about this. This class is versatile and you get to learn a whole lot, and there's a lot of fun activities that we'll be doing in class. So I look forward to seeing you all, and just stay safe. I thought you hit the stop. Oh, this is mildly embarrassing.